Please welcome our Mayor, Buddy Dyer.
Good afternoon, I'm Mayor Buddy Dyer, and I'd like to welcome you to the April 11th, 2011 council meeting of the Orlando City Council. We're going to begin today's proceedings with the invocation offered by Pastor Pam Powell of Ebon Temple, which is located in District 6 and is celebrating 25 years in the community under the direction of Bishop Thomas S. Lee Jr., and the church's name is an acronym which stands for Everlasting Believers in the Nazarene, and they have many important ministries in our community. And Pastor Powell is very special. She's served the temple for 2 years through her work as the founder of the P Factor Life Ministries. She's a syndicated TV and radio talk show host and author. And the 7 P Factors are: be positive, passionate, persistent, patient, prayerful, powerful, and prosperous. Pastor Powell's invocation will be followed by the pledge, led today by Commissioner Stewart. If we could all stand. Pastor Powell.
God bless you. Good afternoon. Please bow your heads with me. Almighty God, we gather today in this chamber, acknowledging your presence. We gather today in this chamber with the hope that our commitment and our actions will always make a difference. We gather today in this chamber to make decisions that affect Orlando, this city beautiful. We gather today in this chamber to bless the Honorable Mayor Buddy Dyer and all of the great commissioners and officers, knowing always that united we stand and divided we fall. We ask your forgiveness of our transgressions, and we thank you for the opportunity to represent and serve our people. Keep us running for you. Keep us lifting up our voices. Let us be positive. Let us be passionate. Let us be persistent. Let us be patient. Let us be prayerful. Let us be powerful. Let us be prosperous, so that we will all experience the thrill of victory rather than the agony of defeat in our lives. We thank you, God, now for hearing and answering our prayers. And we ask these blessings, Lord, in your mighty, marvelous, and majestic name. God bless Orlando, the city beautiful. God bless the United States of America. And the people of the chamber said, amen, amen, and amen. God be praised for you. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll and make a determination of quorum, please.
Commissioner Diamond? Here. Commissioner Ortiz?
Here.
Commissioner Stewart?
Here.
Commissioner Sheehan? Here. Commissioner Lynham? Here. Commissioner Ings?
Here.
Mayor Dyer?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll now take up for consideration the minutes of the March 28th agenda review and City Council meetings. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. Let's see, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion carries. We'll now move on to awards, presentations, and recognitions, and I'm going to call on Alan Euler, the Workplace Giving Campaign co-chair, who will introduce and give a summary of our 2010 campaign, our very successful 2010 campaign. Alan?
Actually, one of the most successful in the recent history, Mayor. So, Mayor, good afternoon. Commissioners, good afternoon. Once again, it's my pleasure to present to you the results of our Workplace Giving campaign, this time the 2010 campaign. As the Mayor pointed out, I'm one of the campaign co-chairs. There are 3 other campaign co-chairs that serve as well. Rosa Akhtar-Kavari, I don't know if she's here. Rosa, are you here? Yes, carefully ducking the limelight, as she always does. We have Assistant Chief John McCormick with OFD. Chief, if you can stand. And we also have Deputy Chief Larry Zwig with OPD. Gentlemen, thank you very much. I wanted to point those gentlemen out in particular because under their guidance, OFD had the highest participation this year of any department. A little over 60%, almost 70% of their employees participated in the campaign, which is unheard of. Most of the time we're averaging somewhere around 30%, so they did a phenomenal job there. And with Deputy Chief Zwig's involvement with OPD, we had more involvement with OPD this year than in any year prior. So thanks to the efforts of those gentlemen, yes, Mayor, we had a wonderful campaign this year.
That is great.
Now, we always start the workplace giving campaign around July or August. That's when the co-chairs all meet, and the very first thing that we're tasked to do is to try and come up with the goal for the coming year. So the co-chairs all sit around and we go, oh, geez, budget woes and staff reductions, and we always pick a conservative number. We go to Byron Brooks and he says, we can do better than that. And by golly, every year he's right. Every year our employees meet the challenge that we set handily. Our 2010 goal was $350,000. That's 15% higher than what our 2009 goal was. So the obvious question is, how'd we do? This year our employees raised $409,000 in contributions. Phenomenal response to the program. We had 1,003 employees participate, as compared to last year's campaign, 882. So even with staff reductions, we have more people participating and giving greater amounts to our program. We had 17 employees who gave 5% or more of their salary. That's almost double what we had last year. And we had 4 employees who gave greater than 10% of their salary to the charitable organization of their choice. So just phenomenal response by our employees. And as always, there are some departments that absolutely shine, and we'd like to recognize those departments as the top contributors. And we break them down into small, medium, and large departments. And so, Mayor, if I could ask you to come down and assist me with handing out the awards. Our first award is for the small department category. Families, Parks, and Recreation takes the top honors by contributing 189% of their goal. And Lisa Early will be here to accept the award. Lisa? Our next award is for the medium-sized department, and that's our executive offices, the folks that work in the mayor's office, the folks that work for the commissioners. They came in squeaky second biggest contributor in the city at 186% over goal, but certainly the highest in the middle-sized departments. So accepting the award on the executive office's behalf, Carolyn Washington, Maribel Ortiz, Susan Harris, and Dorothy Patterson. I don't know if you're here. You got volunteered early this morning. If not, we'll go with you three. And commissioners, this is not a setup, but for the second year in a row, Public Works receives the large department. That's one of those guys, I'm a co-chair. You really need to come through on this. And thankfully they did. We met our goal by 105%. And accepting the award on Public Works' behalf is Rick Howard. Folks always ask the question, why is the City of Orlando's program such a success? And it's really quite simple. Several years ago, we made the choice to allow our employees to select who they would like to contribute to, any 501c3. is eligible to receive donations from our employees. Unlike other employers who say, we're having a workplace giving campaign and this is who you're donating to, we allow the employee that choice, and it shows in our campaign results. We're one of the top giving agencies in the Central Florida area. You may recall a couple of years ago that we've won several awards, actually, for our employee participation in our campaigns. And several of those charitable organizations are here today. And to round off this afternoon ceremony, we always love to do the ceremonial check handing out. And Mayor, they are right here front and center. The very first one goes to Carmen Moore with the Heart of Florida United Way. They served as our fiscal agent for the 2010 campaign, and they received over $39,000 in contributions from our employees this year. And if you guys want to hang on to those checks for a souvenir, you're welcome to do that. America's Charities, also an organization that typically is a big community organization that receives lots of contributions from our employees. Donna Chun is here representing them. They received over $37,000 in contributions from our employees. And I have Bunny Hamer today, who's going to be doing double duty. Bunny Hamer represents both Community Health Charities of Florida and EarthShare. Community Health Charities received over $20,000 in contributions. And EarthShare I'll hold that. EarthShare received over $4,800 from our employees. And last but not least, we have John Thiessen representing United Arts of Central Florida, a very important cultural organization to our community. They received over $6,600 in contributions from our employees. We appreciate very much the things that you do for our communities and giving our employees the opportunity to return some of their earnings back into the community that supports them. So thank you very much for your efforts, and we look forward to a great campaign next year as well. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, for the second presentation, where we'll be proclaiming April as Fair Housing Month in the City of Orlando, I want to call on Marcia, who will give the background information on Fair Housing Month.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer and City Commissioners. Good afternoon. As you know, fair housing is really the right of every citizen. And to commemorate the 43rd anniversary of the passage of the Title VIII Civil Rights Act of 1968, the federal fair housing law, Mayor Dyer will be reading a proclamation shortly and recognizing Fair Housing Month in the City of Orlando. We have been working diligently on Fair Housing Month and have several activities that have been planned for Fair Housing Month, 2 workshops, one tomorrow on April 12th here in City Hall in the Overlook Room, and one on April 20th, which will give our citizens a chance to gain more information and education on what fair housing is, on accessibility issues and legal issues that are important to all of us and specifically to all of our citizens. We have invited several of our partners to be here today who are involved in various kinds of fair housing activities, some of them housing counseling and others involved in other activities. We also have our staff here from the Office of Community Affairs and Human Relations, which have been working diligently on this. I'd like to quickly recognize Patricia Newton, my assistant to director, who manages the Human Relations section and has been working diligently to make sure that we have a strong Fair Housing Month of activities. And also we have Kathy Roberts with us, who is our housing investigator, who has been working on this. Here to receive the proclamation from the mayor are several of our partners, and I would just like them to come up when you finish reading the proclamation, Mayor. And we have the Orange County Urban League, Central Florida Urban League that's here. Get the name right, Allie. Central Florida Urban League. We also have Hands of Central Florida. And we have I didn't bring my list. The other person is Cora Fillmore, who's here from her organization, representing her housing organization. So at this time, what we'd like to do is have the mayor come up, read the proclamation, and we would invite everyone, of course, commissioners, you are aware of this, and also the entire community, to join us for the fair housing activities that are scheduled for April 12th and April 20th. Mayor Dyer?
Thank you, Marcia. City of Orlando proclamation. Whereas fair and equal housing is a right guaranteed to all Americans, and all citizens have the right to live where they choose within their financial means. And whereas people must not be denied housing because of race, color, religion, gender, national origin, disability, familial status, or sexual orientation. And whereas annually in the month of April, the City of Orlando commemorates the anniversary of the passage of Title VIII of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, the federal fair housing law. And whereas the City of Orlando supports the efforts of local agencies, nonprofits, the private sector, and individuals to ensure compliance with the federal, state, and local fair housing laws. And whereas the Office of Community Affairs, Human Relations Section urges all citizens to participate in Orlando's Fair Housing Month workshops and activities supporting the federal fair housing law and demonstrating our commitment to equal opportunity in the City of Orlando. Now, therefore, I, Buddy Dyer, Mayor of the City of Orlando, hereby do proclaim the month of April 2011 as Fair Housing Month in the City of Orlando. Okay, let's move into the mayor's update. Commissioner Stewart, I wanted to let you know that we're all sorry to hear of the loss of Doris Carter, who I know was King? Cater. Okay, well, we're sorry we got the name wrong as well. But I understand that she was somebody very important to the Stewart businesses and family for over 40 years.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, our thoughts and prayers with you and those who are touched by Doris. I want to take a moment and recognize all of our city staff, including the employees at OPD, OFD, Emergency Management, Public Works, Solid Waste, and Transportation, who went above and beyond, that's the order that goes in responding to last week's storms. They were kind of unprecedented in their severity at this time of the year, and hopefully we won't have any more repeats of those later on in the year. I want to congratulate the Downtown Orlando Library on being awarded the 2011 Library of the Future Award by the American Library Association and the 2011 Florida Library Innovation Award from the Florida Library Association for the Right Service, Right Time project. Congratulations. The City of Orlando was recently recognized by the Arbor Day Foundation as a Tree City USA community for our commitment to urban forestry, and I've been able to announce that every year since I've been mayor, because this is the 33rd year in a row that we have earned this national designation. On Thursday, April 7th, I was honored to be the keynote speaker at this year's Golden Brick Awards, and it was a big day for the City of Orlando. The Downtown Orlando Partnership holds this event annually and recognizes projects that affect downtown development and impact its quality of life. And the city was the proud recipient of several awards, including the top award, which was the Award of Excellence for our work with the new Amway Center. And our partners at the Magic received several awards, including one for the art collection in the Amway Center. So congratulations to the Magic and our city project team. In total, we received the top award for excellence, 6 golden bricks and 3 silver brick awards. We also want to extend our congratulations to our fellow Award of Excellence winner, which are Bishop Noonan and Friar John McCormick and the congregation at St. John's Catholic Cathedral. They recently completed the renovation of the cathedral, which took about 18 months, and it is just beautiful if you have not been inside. I had the opportunity to attend the dedication mass a couple of months ago, and they did fabulous work on that, so congratulations to all the Golden Brick winners. Also, we're receiving quite a few awards on the Amway Center. This week, the National Architect Week, and the Orlando section of the American Institute of Architects had their Design Excellence Awards on Saturday. I was honored to win the Award of Merit for raising design and development standards and creating a more sustainable community here in Orlando, and I want to dedicate the award to the council and our entire staff here at the City of Orlando, as well as our entire community, because this has been certainly a joint effort as we've moved our community forward. In addition, the Amway Center again was recognized with a top award of excellence, and the Geico Garage also received a top honor. We're getting recognition from many different areas, including the U.S. Green Building Council, where last week we were able to announce that we had in fact received Gold LEED certification on the Amway Center, and we are the first newly constructed arena in the country to receive any form of LEED certification, and to receive gold is particularly notable. And the chairman of the U.S. Green Building Council was on hand and noted that other communities are looking at what we have done, and we will be a model for the future. Finally, on that note, speaking of the Amway Center, you may notice that I'm a little bit scruffy, and the Magic players are growing beards for the playoffs, Fear the Beard, and one of our more notable sports writers challenged our community fans to do likewise to support the Magic in their playoff run, which will begin on Saturday or Sunday, depending on how it lines up. So I have proclaimed the playoff run we will change the name just for a little while from the City Beautiful to the City Beard is Full, and I encourage all who can to grow beards. You'll see that I can't do it very well, so anybody that wants to take up the challenge can probably do a little bit better than I'm doing, but I'm trying. Not that you can do much about that. So you can also visit OrlandoFearTheBeard.com for more information on the campaign, so go Magic. On the agenda today, we will vote to approve funding for 19 mayor's matching grant projects. They are spread throughout the city, and there are a number of wonderful organizations with wonderful projects that are being awarded today, and a number of them are here today. So those of you who are receiving Mayor's Neighborhood Matching Grant Awards, would you please stand and be recognized? Okay, and just a couple other items. This one's kind of fun. On the consent agenda, we are approving a conditional use permit that will once again allow for an automobile dealership in downtown Orlando. For a number of years, we had the Mini Cooper dealership on Orange Avenue, and they outgrew their location, and the Chrysler Corporation has selected a few dealers in the U.S. for Fiat franchises, and I'm pleased to announce that downtown Orlando will be one of those locations to have a new Fiat franchise where the old Mini Cooper location was. We're also doing a resolution of support for Sunrail today. We've done many resolutions and indicating our support. As you know, every T has been crossed and every I has been dotted. Sunrail is simply waiting the approval of Governor Scott. I had an opportunity to meet with him last week, and he had a couple areas of interest, none of which are insurmountable, and I could tell you that the meeting was a much more positive meeting than a meeting I had with him relating to high-speed rail. And one of the things that he had indicated was that he understood there was widespread community support, and we want to make sure that we reemphasize that to him. So most of the organizations and local governments that have passed resolutions are passing them again to renew our support for Sunrail, and it's important for everyone. If you have an interest, just shoot them a couple sentence email saying, Governor, we support Sunrail here in Central Florida, and here's why. I would use it between Winter Park and Orlando, or I would take it to the Sanford Zoo, or just however you might use it on, or maybe I'll never write it, but I think it's important for our community. So more on that. And then this morning we had a workshop on what the city is doing to help our local businesses thrive and succeed despite more difficult economic times. And we have 3 actions that are before us today. One, we are expanding our high-tech, as we are expanding our high-tech and medical research industries, we are continuing the usage of QTI. And we have a QTI agreement before us today, which is Rochambeau Inc., which is an online game developer. And I'm excited to report this isn't a company that we tried to lure from somewhere else. It's owned and operated by one of our own Central Florida residents. And I want to recognize Phil Holt, who is the company's CEO, who is here with us today. Phil, will you stand and be recognized? Phil is a alumnus of EA and looked around at different business opportunities and wanted to have one right here back in the city of Orlando. And his company will create 60 jobs over the next 3 years with an annual wage of $77,000. The state's investing $570,000 under the QTI program, and the city will be matching that with $114,000 over the next 6 years. So very wise investment, very good investment on our part. And thank you for being here, and thank you for creating this company. And then finally, the last one I want to mention is the expansion of the UCF Business Incubator, which is in District 2, and Commissioner Ortiz has been a big supporter of, and actually that's the second to last. I also wanted to mention that we'll be hearing on first reading an ordinance that will waive the collection of change in use transportation impact fees, and will be moving ahead with the conducting of studies to look at our transportation impact fees in total to decide whether we might want to reduce them for a period of time to encourage economic development, and that will be forthcoming as well. So with that, we will move on to the consent agenda, which is a number of items that are acted upon through a single vote of council. Each of the commissioners is given an opportunity to comment on the consent agenda and update you on items of importance from their district. We rotate the order in which we begin, and today we're beginning with District 3, Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for your comments about Doris. Doris is a neat lady and a very dear friend of ours, kind of part of our adopted family, and I appreciate the opportunity to recognize her memory here. So thank you very much. A couple of things I'd like to mention. On the this past week, the mayor and I had an opportunity to rededicate Orlando Veterans Memorial Park. It was a good opportunity to go in there and share a little bit about what we were doing in terms of the changes that are being made over there, but also an opportunity to remind us that we have just completed the Lake Baldwin Trail around Fleet Peoples Park. And so a couple of weeks ago, we were supposed to actually dedicate that, but thanks to a weather event in our community, it got postponed till tomorrow. So if you'd like to come on out, we've got, there was a 5-foot trail, there's now a 12-foot trail, and we connect to Fleet Peoples Park in the northwest corner of Baldwin. So now you can get a chance to go around the entire park and the entire lake, and it's just a wonderful cooperative event that we've done with the City of Winter Park. Also, I'd like to remind everybody, if you haven't signed up already, for the City of Orlando's team for the IOA Corporate 5K. That takes place this Thursday evening. If you're looking for a good nonprofit to sign up with besides the city, please give me a call. I'll share with you the name of one really good nonprofit that has a team this year. And we decided that we're going to be the best walking team out there. So please come join us, because we'll have a good time. This weekend on Saturday and Sunday, the 16th and 17th, Lou Gardens will be hosting the Central Florida Rose Society's 25th Annual Rose Show. If you hadn't had a chance to get out there for that, that's a wonderful event. And every time I've gone, it's just been really neat to be out there and look at the beauty of that park. Also coming up at the end of the month, I'll mention it now because people are looking for support, will be 2 Relay for Lives in District 3. One over at Baldwin Park, where they'll be using the Blue Jacket Park, and one in College Park, where they'll be using Edgewater High School. So those are April 30th and May 1st. Please come and participate in those. Today on the agenda, let me just mention briefly that we have a couple of things I'll mention that the mayor has not, or along with the mayors as well. The mayor's matching grant for the College Park Neighborhood Association. I want to congratulate them, and let me just share briefly the story. One of our ladies in the community decided they were going to do something different over there and create an idea about having movies in the park over in College Park. And she took it upon herself to get the support, go to the community, go to the College Park Neighborhood Association, and now has made that one of the 3 or 4 pillars that we do in the College Park Neighborhood Association. And with that, we're awarding a grant to continue that in the College Park community. I'm really excited about it, not so much about what happens, but it's an opportunity of one of our citizens to get involved and want to do something for the community, and this is a good example of that. Also want to express my endorsement again of Sunrail on C2 today, and look forward to signing that personally and sending it up to Governor Scott. And then also one thing I want to mention too, I appreciate the work of the Orlando Fire Department. Today we'll be signing a mutual aid agreement with between the Orlando Fire Department and the Winter Park Fire Department. And I appreciate so much the work that we've done with that. Thank you, Deputy Chief, and the work. It means our citizens are safer. Because we've worked closely with those jurisdictions around us to make sure that we're going to support them and they're going to support us. And I think that speaks highly about the fact that we continue with the ISO rating of 1 and making sure our citizens are properly in a good, safe environment. So I appreciate y'all's work, and thank you very much for that. And that's all that I have, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move to District 4. Commissioner Sheehan.
Thank you, Mayor. On the agenda today, item B4, I'm very pleased to see the Brown Grease to Biofuels Facility Agreement. Anytime we can take anything and recycle it and instead of put it in the waste stream is great, so I'm very excited to see that item. I also thoroughly express my support for Sunrail. I know the 2 hospitals in our city are very dependent upon Sunrail in order to get their employees to and from work and in order to meet their criteria for their site plans with parking. And, you know, we need to, if you're going to say let's get to work, let's figure out ways to how to get people to work. I think this is critically important. So I also express my support for Sunrail. On item C8 today as well, there's a billboard exchange. And while billboards aren't usually my favorite things, this is actually going to take billboards off of Mills Avenue, Orange Avenue, and over by the Magic Mall, and to put it on I-4 where I really do feel billboards belong. So this is a great economic development item. I really appreciate that, and I know that you know, some of these, this is probably going to be the last one coming before us on this pilot program, but you know, if we can get these billboards out of the business districts, out of the neighborhoods, and onto an area where they're going to get higher traffic anyway, I think it just makes sense. And I'm going a little bit out of order, but on ordinance first reading number 3 on the Cimarron special plan, I really would like to commend Commissioner Ortiz on his work on that plan, because you know, to become a commissioner and to have a challenge like Cimarron is not easy. And, you know, because there's been some things that have happened and that have been kind of unfortunate, let's say with, you know, billboard planning, signage, you know, that's tough to overcome. Now, we did a lot of work over on iDrive with the same kind of challenges, and you've done a great job in getting everybody together where there was not a business district and formulating that. So I would really like to commend you on that. And planning isn't always fun. It takes a long time to get people involved. and to get them supportive, and you managed to do that in a really great short amount of time. So I just like to commend you for that as someone who has a respect for planning. So thank you, Commissioner. And that's all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move to District 5. Commissioner Lineham.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. First, I'd like to make a few announcements. We were talking about the death of a former city employee, Ulysses Briggs. Started off in the city and fleet, ended up in Human Relations Department. He was a great friend of mine. He was a neighbor, but I got to know him when I served on the Human Relations Board back in 1982 or 83 for a number of years. So we want to express our deepest sympathy to that family over this death, and some of the city family who was at that funeral on Saturday and the wake on Friday. A series of other announcements. I'd like to call out Charles Remdad again and Frank for the work that they've done on Harvest Academy. It looks great over there. I'm just very, very appreciative when you go beyond the call of duty to make things right for the community and make people safer at the Harvest Academy. Also, this past weekend, Mike Carroll notified us, even though I saw them on the streets, that solid waste came into the Monday pickup areas, which mostly District 5, absolutely District 5, and started the pickup early on Saturday and Sunday because there was just so much out from the storm. And in our area, we had a number of trees to fall and cause great damage and harm to houses, but there was no loss of life, and to my knowledge, no one was injured. So we're very thankful that every call I made to Sonny, he responded very quickly, but Mike called to say that there was a great effort to get everything picked up. Except when I went home for lunch, my yard man was just putting stuff out. I already missed my pickup, boy. So that wasn't very cool. But we're just, when people do things like that, it really makes a difference. And I want to give a shout out also to Gamma Phi Delta, my Xi Beta chapter. Today, is it today or tomorrow, elementary school kids are taking FCAT. And what we did was to prepare bags with bananas and water and what do you call those little bars you buy? Granola bars and things that they could take and have so that we'll make sure they had something before taking the tests. And we gave those out on Saturday. I was only there 3 seconds before going to a funeral, but at the Northwest Community Center. And the staff there was superb in trying to help facilitate our encouraging the students and encouraging their success on the test. But I want to recognize, too, Dr. Witherspoon, sitting here, I don't know which agenda item you're on, but I do want to recognize you. She's a former dean at Florida A&M College of Law, doctor. As usual and always, I believe jobs is what it's all about. We can't sell your home. You can't send your kids to college if you don't have a job. And Sunrail is a threefold opportunity for our community. It has already provided over $80 million in jobs that's been spent, at least 75 to 80 million. And there's an opportunity for other jobs if we are able to move this project alone. It's been in the works for a very long time. It is a commuter rail system starting up in DeLand, coming down Point Siena. It would give, someone has to drive the train, someone has to clean the maintenance and do all kinds of things, and it was a great multimodal component to light rail and high-speed rail. But right now, we just focus on what we've got. And in the state of Florida that has a high rate of unemployment, and for our area, we'd like for you all to join the mayor in encouraging this governor to get on board to support Sunrail in this opportunity it affords our region. A couple more announcements before I get to the agenda. As part of the agenda, actually, I see Lynn and a few other people regarding the CDBG funds that we call the Mayor's Neighborhood Matching Grant for the community garden. I did receive a call from The View. The View wants a community garden, and I asked them, were they going to put it on the rooftop? And they said no. they want us to find a piece of land somewhere. So wherever Lori is, I'm going to ask for a little help in finding a little space for the View to start its own community garden. So I think that's going to take care of, oh, nope. Byron Brooks speaks tomorrow. He's the guest speaker for the National Circle of Friends at noon at Crown Plaza. So you guys come out and hear Byron. He's an excellent speaker, better than most people I've heard. Oh yeah, the Magic's in the playoff. I'm the last person to normally know these things, and nobody said anything about it. Someone told me they are. So I congratulate the Magic and going to the playoffs. So now I will go to the agenda, and I may have to include something else. It's on A2. We have a number of, Lynn Nichols is here from Paramore Community Garden, Ivy Lane Homes. I saw Corey stand up for something. I don't know what Corey was standing up for. From the smoothie shop over in Paramore. And there was the Arlington Concord Heights. These dollars that you receive for the community garden must be spent for the community garden. And I think I'm very thankful for Lynn for helping me keep my little tomatoes watered. I was there early Sunday morning and watered my plot. You can rest assured that habit won't last long, so hook me up with some water when you get a chance, please, on my little plot. But I congratulate you in the work that you guys are doing in the community. It's a beautiful lot that has taken on the flowers and the vegetables, great carrots, onions, collards, tomatoes, cauliflower, you name it, all kinds of wonderful things. So congratulations. On the transportation impact fees, that's over on an ordinance we're passing today, but the final reading will not be until, well, the next city council meeting. I don't know, is that the 22nd? I'm not sure. No, I don't have a clue, so forget that. But it's this month, I think. And I need you to know that in this waiver in the impact fees, we have put another caveat in there that we will also address some expansions, that the waiver would not just apply to the existing square footage. And I'm just very thankful for, was it FJ? Was working on that to get that taken care of. Also, we've been working with a restaurant for a number of months regarding TVs on their patio. And when I contacted Dean and learned that we were moving forward with a new signage ordinance that I'm sure it would be tasteful, but it does allow TVs as a part of the signage for cafe or patio restaurants, and we will be passing that today. And if you look at that, if there are any questions about it, I'll be glad to meet with folks. But at least the merchant that I've been working with the last few months, I just need them to understand that we're moving forward on that. Congratulations. I think Mayor Dahlia's already called out the QTI, so that's all done. There is another one on agenda item J3. I think, is that the drafts? I just want to say it was a great effort, Mayor, by Mayor Dahlia and I were there to cut the ribbon on last Friday, well, Friday a week ago. To help nauseate me, the mayor had a double chocolate beer. Who's ever heard of that? I just couldn't stand the idea of
Darkest they had, Commissioner.
Yeah, I know. I was like, what are you drinking? It's a double chocolate beer. I'm like, woof. Just give me a plain old Heineken. But it was a gorgeous facility, high-ended materials, but I just want to express my appreciation and the community's appreciation for Thomas Chapman, Lori Botts, Byron, Tim Johnson, and so many others that worked to make this unique space extraordinary place to go. So if you want some great cab cake burgers, boy, those things were good. So, and I want to thank my Gamma Saros for coming out joining me that night, too. So I think, Mayor, Just to congratulations on the Fiat dealership that's in 5. Anyone wants to come downtown or in 5 to create jobs, expand jobs, I think we welcome them if they're quality positions and programs for us. I did see in the paper over the weekend that OUC is now getting methane out of the landfill. And if you remember last year when I came back from National League of Cities, Dallas-Fort Worth was getting methane, quite probably significant more than we are at this point. But I want to congratulate OUC for moving on that program because anytime we can take garbage and turn it into fuel, it's just a great, great, great idea. I think that's it for now, and if there are any other announcements, I will try and grab them as we go along doing discussions under our ordinances. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to District 6, Commissioner Ings.
Thank you, Mayor, and I too want to express my condolences to the family of Ulysses Briggs, Catherine, his wife, and all of the family on the loss of Briggs. Briggs was a great employee for the City of Orlando and worked very diligently in our Human Relations Office and dealing with the rights of others, so he was a great man during our time. And I'd like to say on item A2, thank you, Marcia Hope Goodwin and Julie Tyndall, for your efforts in pulling this together and specifically working with the various organizations and specifically those that are in District 6, representing District 6, and supporting strong families and helping with the boys and girls through mentoring programs, math programs, more specifically Devereaux, Florida, milestone projects, the Village of Orlando, Wake Up Mentoring, Washington Shores Elementary School with their math, magnificent Arithmetic Thinkers Hall of Fame Club, Winter Springs Performing Arts, dealing with Grand Avenue Learning Center and helping our kids over in that area, and Zetas for their Excelling Through Action Foundation with their youth program. So, Marcia, these are going to be some great organizations and trying to do some great things for our community, so thank you very much on that. And then item C12, I do support the resolution for the City of Orlando in supporting the Sunrail Commuter Rail project. This is an alternative transportation initiative. There will be some creation of jobs for the Central Florida region, and also we've had regional governmental support throughout. So this is a great opportunity for us as we see the Central Florida region continuing to grow. And then for community projects, Saturday, March 19th, the Washington Shores 5K Run Walk event was held there at Hankins Park, and we had a fantastic time. Great support of the community and different individuals. Orange County Health Department, Dr. Kevin Sharon was on hand, and Audrey Alexander of the Orange County Health Department actually coordinated this particular project and put it together. Mark McEwing, formerly of CBS News and Channel 6 WKMG News here locally, Orlando, was the speaker. And as you can remember, Mark several years ago had a stroke, and he was then taken off the air. But Mark actually walked that 5K walk. So he's to be commended for coming out and showing great community support and being there to help us out. And also on that same date, March 19th, Commissioner Tiffany Moore Russell, Orange County Commissioner for District 6, and the Washington Park Neighborhood Association held their annual Family Hope Day, restoring communities, and this event was held at the Lila Mitchell Center there in District 5, right across the street from District 6. And I say it that way because I did go over and show some support for what they were doing there in our community. And then also Sunday, I was at the Association of Asian Cultural Festivals as they presented their 14th annual Holy, Holy, Holy event at the Central Florida Fairgrounds, and this was held that Sunday, March 20th. And it was a great event. Many different organizations were involved. Great food, too. So thanks for that event. And I was at the Orlando Veterans Memorial Park rededication. It was a great event. Commissioner Stewart, Mayor Dyer were on hand, and a great event specifically with the Veterans Advisory Council, and also the band. The band was just great, and the singing was great too. So, and we just had a wonderful time there. And it was good to see what was done there at that Memorial Park there at Lake Baldwin. And then Thursday, April 7th at 7 p.m., we had our Chucky Atkins Basketball Academy banquet. And this is an event that I host every year. And we're looking to continually to do this because it is a great event for all of our kids, especially our little kids, learning the fundamentals of basketball, how to play the game, and how to be good sportsmen. We had trophy presentations. Our coaches that were on hand were Dorian Hightower and Cedric Guyan, and also our Smith Center staff, Marlon Potee, Akiva Wilson, Maurice Hampton, and others were there on hand. The kids enjoyed the banquet. It was such a great deal. They actually had a dinner, which was good. Last year we really improved, and next year we're looking for greater improvement too, because it is about our kids and supporting our kids and keeping them good, healthy, and active. And then also this past Sunday, the Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church celebrated their 131st church anniversary. Reverend Dr. Robert M. Spooney, who's also the executive director for the African American Chamber, is the interim pastor, and Reverend Dr. Arthur D. Sims is the pastor of Fellowship Baptist Church in Pine Hills, was the guest speaker, and this was a great event. Church was full, packed, and Sheriff Jerry Demings was on hand to show support. Orange County Mayor Teresa Jacobs was there on hand, and Orlando Police Chief Val Demings was there on hand too. And also on tomorrow is the Central Florida Boy Scout Golden Eagle Dinner, and that's going to be held at the Amway Center, 400 West Church Street. Business attire. Free parking is going to be available in the Geico garage, and there will be a registration table there in the front. So everyone is invited to come out and support the Central Florida Boy Scouts. And then on Saturday, April 16th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., the Excellent Kids Health Fair and Easter egg hunt that I sponsor every year in conjunction with Got Bikes, Ride 'em, will be holding this event at the Dr. James R. Smith Center. And it is going to be there at 1723 Bruton Boulevard in Orlando. So kids, parents, families come out and join myself and the staff at the Smith Center for a fun-filled day of food, family outdoor activities, and kids' health fair. There will be health screenings. Parents must be present for this event, field activities, and we'll have a obstacle course for the bicycle. Those kids that register and get into the bicycle obstacle course, there will be a drawing where we will give away several different bicycles along with the helmets for riding. And then, of course, we will have our Easter egg hunt. And this opportunity provides us a chance to help combat juvenile diabetes and obesity. And if anybody need any other information, please contact my aide, Cynthia Wilson. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move to District 1, Commissioner Diamond.
Thank you, Mayor. I would also like to thank all the city staff who worked so hard after the storms. One group in particular I'd like to call out are all the folks that worked on the ground collapse over at Delaney Park next to the Little League fields. For those of you who don't know, The patio area at the concession stand collapsed into the ground, and there were some questions about exactly what happened. And I think all the different departments that worked on that did a very nice job of working together. That would be facilities, stormwater, wastewater, risk management, and parks. And they did a very nice job. They took action quickly. I was out there that day, and they already had a fence around the entire area that was almost completed around noontime or so. And for those of you who don't know, we had to close the playground temporarily, close the restrooms temporarily, and I know those were not necessarily popular decisions among people in the area, but I think they were the right decisions. I support the staff on that. I think they did the right thing in making that decision, and I think they did a very nice job of responding to a very unfortunate event, but it's something that they dealt with, they're dealing with, and I think they deserve credit for that. Couple of items on the agenda. I will mention the qualified targeted jobs credit. I think that's good. 60 jobs, $77,000 a year. I think that's exactly what we need. Also, on the billboard deal, I'm also glad to see the billboards moving out of the various neighborhoods. One in particular is in District 1, and that's the one at Harding and Orange. I think taking that billboard off that building or out from between the building at the corner and the other building will help in our continuing efforts to improve that area, the South Orange, Michigan area, and I think it will definitely help with that. A couple of events I attended over the past couple of weeks that I thought were very nice, very good, very inspirational. The Black History Month United Negro College Fund lunch, I think that was great. They did a very nice job with the program. Sherry Paramore and all the folks involved with that did a very nice job, and it was good to see the work being done and the contributions made to help kids go to college. And then last Friday night, Commissioner Stewart mentioned the Relays for Life coming up in his district. Boone High School did theirs this past Friday, and they had a tremendous turnout for the American Cancer Society. A bunch of students, middle school, high school, a bunch of folks in the community were involved with that, so thanks to everybody for working on that. And then lastly, I just want to give a shout out to all the students taking the FCAT this week. I wish them the best of luck, and I hope they all do great. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, and finally, District 2, Commissioner Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, let me start with the agenda. First of all, I'm supporting items C2 and C7, Mayor. Resolution of the City of Orlando supporting the Sunrail. As everybody have said, it's most important for us, and I think everybody have to jump on board on this one and support you. And thank you for your leadership on this. C7, I'm very happy to support this particular one. Is a second amendment to the UCF Business Incubator. That office has produced quite a bit, and even though it came last, but I'm glad to say that's probably the busiest incubator we have in the region. And I'm very proud of it, and I'm very proud of what's coming out of it. So, on the ordinance first read, number 3, first of all, this is the adopting the overlay for the Cimarron Corridor. First of all, I want to thank God, and after God, I want to thank Bruce Hosfield. God is first, though. Because we have been working on this extremely hard for the past 3 years, and Bruce, you have made it happen. You have been the catalyst here, and as a matter of fact, I think you need a huge round of applause. I also want to thank Mr. Jason Burton, Kyle Shepard. We have Mike Rhodes, of course. This is a full team here. Lila Allen, because she has helped us a lot, especially with the wall. All the business owners, the constituents, each and every citizen in my district, school principals and staff, and every partner we have out there. And here in the House, I want to thank the mayor and the commissioners for your support. It has been sort of kind of a dream come true in such a short period of time, so very excited about that. Now, on items of the district, we had a bingo night at the Johnson's Manor Seniors Apartment last Thursday, and we had a great time. I want to thank Ms. Cox from the Housing Authority and the residents who participated for the hospitality given to us on that particular day. Yesterday, I attended a function at the Ventura South Point condos celebrating diversity due to the new census results. My sincere thanks to Ms. April Ambranche for inviting me. It was a great time. I believe Channel 13 was there too. And in competition to Commissioner Stewart, I'm the honorary captain of the first Stonewall Jackson Middle School Relay for Life to benefit the American Cancer Society. This will take place on Friday, May 6th, and it will start at 10 o'clock, actually 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and it will end next day at 10 a.m. I'm planning on being there all night long. So for all of you that are hardcore volunteers, you are all invited. We are still welcoming teams, and this is for a really good cause, so everybody's welcome. And I just want to go ahead and congratulate Commissioner and the Mayor and everybody on District 3 for the rededication of the Veteran Memorial Park at Baldwin Park. I wasn't there because I had another commitment, but that is great. We still have to keep our veterans in mind, and we still have to continue helping them in every way we can. So thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, then we will, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Lineham, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Is there any, all in favor indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, if there is no objection, we will recess the City Council meeting and we will convene the CRA meeting. Thomas, let's see, we have meeting minutes. Number one is meeting minutes from the CRA for CRA Advisory Board from January 26th, 2011. Is there a motion to accept?
Move approval.
Motion by Commissioner Lineham, second by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Second item was deleted. Third item, Thomas.
Thank you, Mayor, and good afternoon to you, Mr. Mayor, and all the commissioners. I'm trying to make sure I've got your. Let's see. The item number 3 today is for Amoeba Award submitted by Draft Global Beer and Lounge. Thank you very much, Brooke. Forgive me where I need to be. And as we always do, we like to provide a little bit of context. You're, of course, aware that the Amoeba program is approaching now its 5th anniversary, having been enacted, approved by you in August of 2006, and most recently updated by you in October of last year. The intent of MEBA and the focus of MEBA remains the same, and that is, of course, to encourage or focus small business retention and creation in the Paramore area. And MEBA provides monetary as well as non-monetary services for businesses up to an amount not to exceed $40,000 for those categories. There's 7 members of the MEBA Advisory Board. 3 of those members represent local economic development organizations, with the other 4, the majority being comprised by city staff. And the MEBA Advisory Board, of course, looks in depth at each and every MEBA application that comes before it and makes a recommendation to the Community Redevelopment Agency Advisory Board. It is then the recommendation of that advisory board that comes to you as the CRA for your consideration. Again, to remind you that over the almost 5 years of MEBA, there have been 11 businesses funded through MEBA. 8 of those businesses continue to operate within the MEBA area and comply with their MEBA agreements. 3 of those businesses have defaulted and are no longer in existence. The total funding for the 11 awards, as you can see there, is just under $367,000. Today's application, again, is for Draft Global Beer Lounge and Grill, which is an upscale full-service restaurant, bar, and grill located within Paramore. The location is actually at the intersection of Huey and Church Street. The owners are Willie Fisher and Pat Nix. Those gentlemen, between them, have over 18 years of experience within the Orlando market for food and beverage establishments. We see an overhead shot, an area of the location, and of course, this is the location that we're all familiar with in the Church Street garage facility at that intersection. These are actual photos now of the interior of Draft. As you can see, it's a very high caliber, upscale restaurant and bar with high-end finishes. Draft will target, amongst others, other demographics, young professionals, tourists and business travelers, sports fans, and students, and of course will take full advantage of the Amway Center traffic, the special events that happen there. Draft considers the advantages to include their location, quality of their food. They have a real emphasis on exceptional service, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a second. And of course, their marketing themes are directed toward the target markets that we just talked about. Their entertainment experience, they also think, is a competitive advantage, as it will also include celebrity events. Draft features, as it says here, a full-service restaurant with more than 40 beers on tap and more than 100 beers total, seating for up to 350 guests, and state-of-the-art audio and video systems. The exceptional customer service that I spoke about a moment ago is demonstrative of the philosophy of Pat Nix and Willie Fisher, and will be cultivated by a continuing education, bi-monthly training, I should say, for the service as well as management staff, and an employee recognition program based on customer service. And the projections from the pro forma budget that Draft submitted, as you can see here, as would be expected, the sales are tied closely aligned to the NBA season of the Orlando Magic, which of course happens across the street. And as you can see, for the years 1 through 3, there is an uptick projected in both projected total sales, the top line, as well as projected gross and net profits, the second and third blocks, respectively. The owners and operators of Draft have put in well over $700,000 that they've gotten ready of investment for the restaurant. Mostly that's build out of the tenant space with the very high-end finishes that you saw. But those of you who are familiar with the space know that it's undergone a major metamorphosis since it was last open. There's a design and construction of a major of a commercial kitchen, major upgrades to the HVAC and furnishings, as you can see there, as would be expected, exterior signage, which is yet to come, and a point-of-sale system, and of course staffing. The specific MEBA request before you today is, and as is consistent with the recommendation of the advisory board in its March 23rd meeting, is for the full $40,000 to go toward the purchase of a comprehensive point-of-sale system, which, as you can see, total cost of that point-of-sale system exceeds $55,000. Again, the CRA advisory board in its March 23rd meeting recommended approval. And in addition to the standard conditions of all MEBA loans, such as remaining viable within the target area or Paramore, being open for a minimum of 40 hours per week, maintaining active storefronts, utilizing Downtown Orlando logo in their promotional materials, and installing signage that has been approved by the DRC and complies with sign regulations. In addition to working with local EDO organizations and submitting a marketing plan to the MEBA advisory board within 3 months of the effective date of the agreement. There's also, Draft is also now, because of the October guidelines, will be required to submit what's called a design action plan, or a DAP, prior to any funding actually being dispersed. And finally, the agreement, the MEBA agreement for the Draft loan will provide for security agreements and continuing guarantees to afford additional protection of the CRA's investment. Prior to reading the action needed, Mayor, I'd like to pause and see if there are any questions from the Commission.
I would like for you to at least, Mayor, if I can be recognized. I was looking for page 5 on Bonnie Brooks. No, Brooke Bonnie. Yeah. Oh gosh. Report this morning, yes. And it indicated that I think it's Draft's employment level, the 46. So it brings 46 either expanded jobs or new jobs to the area.
Correct.
And I'd like for them to know about the blueprint so that they can access our workforce through Gennaro if they need some help.
All right. We'll make sure of that. Thank you for pointing it out, Commissioner.
Commissioner Stewart and Commissioner Ortiz.
When you go back, I want to look at what we're giving the money for. I think it's for the point of sale system, and the
Correct.
question is that, is it a $55,000 investment, which we're paying $40,000 of it, or are we paying $40,000 of the 40? So I'm looking at the quote, and I was just trying to.
Right. Of course.
Total amount of the quote is $55,884. Is that correct?
Correct. And MEBA of course has a limit of $40,000.
Right. So we're paying 40 of the 55,000.
Correct.
Did they exercise the options on the sonic wall and the power conditioning?
I'm sorry, Commissioner. What is that?
The other options down there, that the $3,000 worth of options, or do you know?
I'm not sure, Commissioner. I'm actually not. The number that we talked about was just that $56,000 total, of which the 40 would be applied to that.
All right, good. Thank you.
Commissioner Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. Thomas,
yes,
this is a really neat project. I'm only concerned that we didn't, we have not laid out the guidelines yet, and we're entering this contract without us finalizing the guidelines. I mean, I would imagine we're going to follow the same guidelines, right, for this particular contract with them?
Well, we would follow the guidelines that are in force today, yes, Commissioner, that were updated, as you know, in October of last year.
Were we going to draft new guidelines?
There were, item number 2 was deleted from the agenda for today, which was to be, is the MEBA guidelines, an additional update that was coming before this board. That has been deleted so that some further clarification can take place before it comes before you. But if you will recall from my presentation, the last bullet point here of conditions of funding with that security agreements or the UCC filings that brings about and a continuing guarantee will apply.
Is that pretty much what's going to be saying on the new guidelines?
Yes, sir.
So we're basically going by the new guidelines on this particular contract?
We're not going by the new guidelines, Commissioner, because you have not approved those guidelines yet.
Well,
but legal tells us we're able, as long as this is in the agreement and the recipients have agreed that it can be in the agreement, they will agree to it.
Let me rephrase my question. We're going by the assumed new guidelines we're going to stipulate, or I shouldn't say those are the new guidelines because of course we have not approved them, but those are going to be pretty much what they're going to be like once we lay them out.
Yes, I would. I think we briefed everybody on the proposed new guidelines. So as you'll recall, there were several of those within that proposal. Possibly the most meaningful is the one that will call for or require, if you will, security agreements when there's a purchase of capital equipment and or a continuing guarantee for other types of purchases. That's why we made sure that it's here, because many of you indicated that you felt like that made it a much more accountable program, and it gave us additional leverage in case there is an unfortunate default. But I just want to, but the guidelines that will come before you will have that as well as other updates recommended.
Okay. I'm just not clear. First of all, I'm a little confused because we dropped this at the last minute, the second item, and so I don't know why, if this new contract is gonna follow similar guidelines, why wouldn't we look at those guidelines, approve those, and then go into this contract?
Well, Commissioner, of course, that could be the will of the body. However, I want to try to make it as clear as I can so that you can make a good informed decision. The proposed guideline updates that you've been briefed upon that constituted CRA item number 2 included the requirement that a security agreement and or continuing guarantee,
which is here.
Right. So though we're not under those guidelines today because you obviously have not acted upon those, legal has opined that as long as we put that within the MEBA agreement and both parties agree, the CRA as well as the loan recipient agree, that it's legal to do it and it's appropriate to do it. That's why we're suggesting it here, and that's why you see it here. The other updates to the guidelines that we'll propose to you, I don't believe would be affected at all or would affect this particular loan at all. For example, there's a slight change in the makeup of the MEBA advisory board coming, and you heard a couple of things suggested this morning earlier, And the reason that we pulled them on Friday was because there was another specific that had not been addressed in the guidelines that we wanted to make sure we addressed before we move forward.
I get the drift. Okay, thank you. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Commissioner Lyon.
I was going to try and help the commissioner understand that we do have a guideline for MEBA. We're just tweaking it again. And you know, with these documents, it's okay to tweak it as each of us ask questions and want things included. So I just want to make sure, you know, we have a guideline. But I kind of don't think someone is going to default on $40,000 when they've invested $700,000. So it seems a very good investment.
May I, Mayor?
Commissioner Ortiz.
No, and I'm fine with that, Commissioner. It's just that I was wondering why then we have dropped item number 2. I'm not going to go into particulars, but I realize that it has more to do with the board than with the actual guidelines. I was just concerned about, and I understand we already have guidelines and we were going to tweak them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, further questions? Is there a motion to
Move approval.
approve? Motion by Commissioner Lyon. Second by Commissioner Sheehan. Discussion. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thomas, further business come before the CRA?
There is none.
There is none, so we will
Thank you.
Adjourn the CRA meeting without objection and reconvene the City Council meeting. And that brings us to hearings, ordinances on second reading. Number 1, Madam Clerk, would you read that one?
An ordinance of the City of Orlando, Florida, vacating, closing, and abandoning portions of the north side of West Pine Street right-of-way, generally located north of West Church Street, south of West Central Boulevard, east of North Terry Avenue, west of South Division Avenue, and comprised of about .25 acres, as requested by an adjacent property owner, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
Move approval, please.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Lynham, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, and so the motion carries. Ordinances on first reading. Number 1, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance amending Chapter 56 City Code Transportation Impact Fee by amending Section 56.15 to provide a limited exemption from the payment of transportation impact fees for specified changes in land use, by amending Section 56.06 to reference the exemption, providing severability, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. All right, we had a presentation and discussion this morning related to this, and Commissioner Lynham staff is working on an amendment for second reading related to the issue which you raised, which is rather than confining it simply to the existing building size, that if it's a expansion of that existing building, that they not be penalized by not getting some credit for the existing part of it.
Yes,
so
sir. That's
we'll
good.
work on that during the week and bring that back. Does anybody need additional discussion, FJ or Brooke or anybody? Everybody's comfortable? Okay, sir, we've had a motion and a second. Commissioner Stewart?
I guess the second thing, FJ, we had talked about the modification of the start
Yes,
date, I
I'm
think,
sorry.
and we're going to add the additional description in there, I think, to cover that at that time, I think, at the second reading, correct?
Yes, the city attorney's office has already made the change to 5615. It basically just says that for the period beginning April 11th, 2011. So it'll still have the effective date on the 25th, but it'll be applied to permits from April 11th on.
FJ, have we already made that modification, or do we need to do an amendment next week?
The copy I received after lunch has got the change in it already. And then what we'll do is we'll work on Commissioner Lyons.
Okay, well, I don't know whether that has been modified electronically or not. Do you know, Madam Clerk?
I don't believe so. no.
Okay, we'll get it right one way or
Okay,
the other,
next
whether
time.
it was included so that we're voting on it now, and if not, then we'll put an amendment in next week along with
Okay.
the other.
Okay, thank you.
All right, is there anyone from the public who'd like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? And so the motion carries. Number 3, Madam Clerk.
Are we on number 2?
I'm sorry, number 2, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance of the City of Orlando, Florida relating to signs, amending Chapter 64, Orlando City Code to establish Part 8 relating to downtown signage, creating downtown signage districts with special signage provisions, providing for severability, repeal of conflicting ordinances and actions, codification, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Lineham, second by Commissioner Stewart. Commissioner Sheehan, I know you have an amendment to offer, so you're recognized.
Yeah, Mayor, my motion is moved to approve the ordinance providing the removal of the exemption toward total signage calculations for digital screens discussed at agenda review.
Okay.
And if I need to clarify that, you know, for further discussion, actually what this is saying is the digital screens would be allowed on high-rise buildings and things like that.
But
We're
they
already
would be
doubling.
contained within the scope of the total signage. that
This
they can
actually
have.
already doubles the amount of signage they're allowed on those, so that would have a doubling of signage and digital screens. I'd prefer, you know, just based on my discussions with staff, to go ahead and include that in there so we don't end up relaxing them too much and having stuff that starts looking tacky, basically.
Okay, is everybody clear on what Commissioner Sheehan's verbal
Do we have
motion
something in
is?
writing?
One more time,
Yeah.
Mayor.
Why don't we, hey, Commissioner, is it okay, since we have the intent to do this?
Yeah,
Can we
that's
have
fine.
staff go ahead and draft that up and
Absolutely.
bring that back
Absolutely.
for second reading?
Yeah, sure,
so they can see
absolutely.
it? Sometimes it's a little tough to completely get it verbally.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you know, I mean, I'm sorry about that, y'all, but I didn't have a chance to, you know, talk about this with them until Thursday afternoon. They drafted it for me on Friday, and I thought they were going to pass it on to y'all too, so I do apologize for that, but hopefully you'll get a chance to read that. And
Okay,
see
no
what it's up to.
problem. So
Great, thank
we
you.
will amend it rather than change it between now and then, so we can have a discussion on that.
Perfect.
Okay, discussion, hearing none. Commissioner Diamond?
Thank you, Mayor. Couple of questions. I met with staff again before this meeting, and I wanted to clarify that evidently this is going to allow the ground signs, the monument signs. I guess there already are some in downtown. This will permit the ones that are already existing. Is that true? So
Jason, you handling all these?
Commissioner and Mayor, that would be correct. There have been some signs in the downtown that have been approved in the past. They don't necessarily follow our sign code. These particular amendments would actually make those signs legal. So it's one of those odd things with sign codes. Sometimes they get followed, sometimes they don't, but for the most part, they do get followed. And this would just recognize what would seem to be obvious is that these large projects that have plazas should be able to have monument signs. Thank you.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Let me ask also, and this is something we talked about before, I think the intent of this is to try to equalize sign treatment and also allow some of the folks downtown to do some things that'll hopefully draw in more customers, be it for restaurants or stores or whatever. And there might come a time later on when we decide that we want to tweak this, either to allow more or allow less. And I wanted to just confirm that we can do that we're not enacting something that is not changeable.
That would be correct. What we're basically thinking about is these particular changes are going to make us a more competitive entertainment and retail destination with our downtown, on the order of what you can do inside of Millennium Mall or inside of City Walk, where you have digital signage and things going on. Our downtown is, in essence, the mall, for you, if you will. So what we're doing is allowing a conservative amount of digital screens and digital signage to go in within our downtown. If you become uncomfortable with the amounts, you can modify that in the future. If there are existing signs that have been permitted, certainly those ones would have to probably stay. They would become legal non-conforming in legal terms in the future. And we discussed some other aspects of that as well. Making the distinction between on-site signage as well as off-site signage too, and there's ramifications on that as well.
Okay, and let me ask you, when you say on-site or off-site, you're talking about if a restaurant's doing advertising for the restaurant, that's on-site because that's right where the sign is, and off-site, that would be something that they're advertising that is not offered on the site?
Correct. If we were to provide an example, most cities in the country, in the United States, you can't control the message of a sign because it's a First Amendment issue, obviously, but the courts have ruled that you can distinguish between on-site messages and off-site messages. So if you had a sign that advertised Bright House Networks, for example, and they did not do business on a particular site, you could advertise that. That would be an off-site message, something that's not happening on that particular site. So we're authorizing a limited amount of off-site messages to be allowed within our downtown. And there's also allocations that we've put aside for on-site messages as well, dealing with both digital screens and digital on-site signs.
Okay. Now, let me ask you, because I wasn't clear, but let me ask you, as far as the on-site, I guess the rationale for that is that it'll draw people, hopefully draw people into the restaurants. But as far as off-site, if they're advertising something that's not offered there, how does that...
Technically, what
is that doing exactly?
What cities have done in the past, Mayor and Commissioners, is that since they distinguish between on-site message and off-site messages, it's been a way to control visual clutter and aesthetics primarily. And it's one of the bases that most cities have for billboard bans, such as the City of Orlando.
Okay, well, how does that work with the billboard? Because the city does not permit new billboards, right?
We don't permit billboards, but we've created a separate category called digital screens, which allow both on-site and off-site messages.
Okay, and that's part of
That's
today?
part of this particular ordinance today.
Okay, but how do you regulate that? And how do you get to the point where if you want, because in one part of the city you're saying it's okay, in another part you're saying it's not okay, and I don't know that I understand how you can do that.
The basic is that there's a difference in the urban form of the downtown. The tall buildings, the streetscapes, those types of elements are much different than having, let's say, a billboard that has off-site messages down on Orange Avenue or in other locations throughout the city where you might be traveling at a faster speed than let's say in the middle of downtown. And we've given special allocations for on-site and off-site messages on these signage within downtown, which is mostly a pedestrian environment, you know, akin to Millennium Mall or City Walk and locations like that.
Okay, well, I think that probably goes to what, you know, things like how the signs fit in with the surroundings. I still have a question about how you can allow it, and I think as I was looking at the staff report before I came in here, it talked about using part of the signs to promote downtown events and that kind of thing, which seemed to make sense. But if you're advertising something which isn't necessarily there, I'm not sure why you would do that. And maybe can you explain that?
I'm not sure if I understand the question, but part of this ordinance includes digital kiosks, which are signs placed by the city within the public right-of-way on sidewalks, and they would be digital in nature. So if the city in the future, we did an RFP and we had downtown digital signage and those types of things, we could set aside part of the time or part of the advertising time towards downtown events. When you're dealing with digital screens and whatnot that belong to private individuals, they have their own rights to go out and seek for, you know, advertisers and whatnot for products and services, both inside and outside the downtown. We're not in particularly controlling their message, if you will. So we've decided, or hopefully we'll decide today, that those are appropriate for a downtown, just to make it competitive with those other entertainment destinations and retail destinations.
Okay, but they can't do off-site advertising at the other sites, can they?
Well, yes, they can. Millennium Mall is within, you know, they're enclosed, and we don't regulate those particular messages that are happening within Millennium Mall.
Yeah.
So you'll see kiosks throughout Millennium Mall where they're doing off-site advertising. City Walk itself has kind of been determined that it functions like an enclosed mall, so they're able to do those types of things as well. What we're trying to do is kind of set up the downtown in a similar fashion, but obviously it's more complicated because you have folks going by on the right-of-way that can see those advertisements.
Yeah. I mean, are you saying other people in other places can do off-site advertising signs?
Well, we do not regulate on-site and off-site messages within a structure. You know, we only regulate signage that are on the outside of buildings, but not on the inside of buildings.
But so they can do off-site outside their buildings?
Well, within City Walk itself, yes, you have the ability to advertise different things within that site, because it functions as if it were indoors and separate, and it's not visible from the right-of-way, and that's part of the thing that they're allowed to do there.
I guess I'm still not sure I'm clear on that. And I guess I'd welcome any comments from the other folks up here as far as the off-site and how that works with our other regulations that we have right now. I think as far as the on-site, I think that's reasonable. I think when you start getting away from that, though, I'm not sure it necessarily fits in with the purpose of what we're trying to do here. I don't know how advertising for an off-site product would help stimulate business in downtown. I guess that's where
certainly
I'm not sure.
It would create a bigger energy for our downtown, obviously, to have that type of signage. You know, it's a controlled version of Times Square, if you will, the types of advertising and on-site signage that we're allowing. So I think that's part of the theory in creating this downtown entertainment and retail destination. We'd be allowing those types of signs as well.
Okay. I'd be curious to hear what other comments are today.
Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jason, thank you very much. A couple of quick questions, and I guess probably, I think generally speaking, I'm in favor of this, but also part of me says we're getting ready to open up Pandora's box, that we don't quite know how this is going to kind of be perceived. When I look at the map itself, as an example, go down Roslyn and Magnolia, the west side is included, but the east side is not. Seems to me we first start off with, do we want to take the entire road by taking lots on both sides of the road to allow that the road take on some of that? So I'm looking at that drawing here. And then the other concern I have is this: it's a real fine line to keep up with technology, and at the same time restrict it enough to make it effective, but not have it just kind of go crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you kind of an interesting question. Where do you think the biggest concerns are that you have that we haven't addressed in moving this forward? From a planning perspective, what are some things that aren't going to happen right now, but we need to make sure we're cautioning against in the future?
Well, from a planning perspective, we've looked at a lot of different other cities around the country that are doing this type of signage. It started with Dallas, looking at what they've done with digital screens within their downtown. Charlotte has put them in. San Antonio has put them in limited situations and circumstances. And one of the reasons I think we're doing a measured response for the amount of signage by keeping up with the times, but not going crazy Times Square, if you will. One of the things that we did look at is having just what we're doing with the Creative Village. We're going to be having an exciting digital type of destination that will have such digital signage associated with it. So in order to keep up with that project, we're proposing these amendments as well. When we looked at the ordinance and constructing it, we also looked at what parts of our downtown are truly entertainment and retail oriented. And as we analyzed that, we really thought that the peacefulness of Lake Eola and the park and the residential districts that are surrounding Lake Eola, both the high-intensity residential districts on the south side of the lake, as well as the more single-family residential neighborhoods on the north side of the lake, we didn't feel it was appropriate to go across Roslyn Avenue and Magnolia Avenue and those types of places. So that's why we wanted to keep it more tight within our downtown. So you had one particular area, you know, along Church Street, which is truly our entertainment core for the city. And I think that's one of the reasons why we did that. We also, we're not alone in this. The American Planning Association has gotten really involved in digital signage and billboards and types of regulations that are associated with it. And I think as we crafted this ordinance, we had all those types of issues that other communities have experienced in mind as well. So I feel very professionally competent that we're addressing what's going on today and controlling whatever issues might arise in the future.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you. I think the idea of across Lake Eola is a non-issue because we own that land. We get to choose what we want to do with that land effectively. So, but I don't know. I guess probably where I'm having a little bit of concern is comparing signage downtown to Millennium Mall, interior signage, or walking pedestrian traffic around City Walk is a little bit not quite the same. I mean, I'm more interested in Charlotte and Dallas and those, because all of a sudden now somebody's actually walking on a public right-of-way and driving in a public street in downtown Orlando. If I could drive my car down City Walk, I think I probably would have the same kind of concerns in terms of what's going on there. But New York is one that probably is the extreme that I'm the most uncomfortable with, but it seems very appropriate in New York.
Correct.
So I'm supportive of this. I think it's in the right direction, but it seems to me there's going to be somebody that's going to contact us a couple of months down the road and say, well, we can do this now, and we would have anticipated, well, that's not really what the intent was, but yeah, by the letter of the law, we actually can do something. Yeah. It's the idea of having that 60-foot screen behind the window as opposed to being in front of the window.
To address your concerns, I think we've had folks approach us and wanting to do different types of digital signage within our downtown, and we kind of said, cool your jets. Yeah. Let's look at this issue comprehensively and how other cities have dealt with this particular issue and problem. As well, downtown Dallas, they have about 5 different digital screens within their downtown. We have a similar amount of properties that would be eligible for digital screens in the future.
Again, I just back in my mind, I'm just thinking it's fine for now, and I'm just thinking a year from now, 2 years from now, what do we open up? Because I know that reflectivity on I-4 is a concern just because of the amount of traction that you have there. I know we've addressed that in part of the ordinance here that will allow us some review of that. Yeah. Those are kind of the issues I think that I'm a little bit just don't quite know. I think it's worth the risk. I feel a little bit like Commissioner Diamond is. I don't want to put my toe in the water too far.
Yeah, I'll allow Thomas to speak next, but just to address the concerns with the I-4 frontage and things like that in the ordinance for digital screens and whatnot. There's a restriction on facing
and y'all did a good job from that standpoint.
Yes. Thomas.
If I could, Mayor and Commissioners, I just wanted to just add a little bit to what Jason was saying. Of course, we being a DDB has been working closely with planning on this and legal for quite some time. And we're very comfortable that is actually a fairly conservative approach to bringing our downtown really into the 21st century. Digital signage, the time has come. It's just a technology that's reflected now. And so you're seeing more and more and more of it. And what we're trying to do here is sort of get ahead of it, if you will. Actually, we've had property owners that have come to us that have asked for significantly more ambitious allowances than what this ordinance will allow. And obviously property owners feel strongly that they have certain rights. And in fact, getting back to the roots of one of Commissioner Diamond's questions about why we should allow the off-site, I think the root of that issue actually is in a desire and a necessity that the private investors who invest in this technology be allowed to return an investment, get a positive return on that investment. In other words, the amount of advertising revenue that can be derived from these signage is very, very limited based on the demographic and the numbers of pedestrians and the people in downtown. If you take away the ability for any off-site messages whatsoever, then the numbers simply don't justify themselves. And if you recall from looking through it, which I'm sure you do, the larger digital boards are only allowed in certain key situations where certain multiple conditions apply. Having a private plaza, for example, in certain areas within the downtown core, which is our entertainment district. So I just wanted to say that we too have sort of gone back and forth with where the sweet spot is, the appropriate place for us to land, so that we don't become, quite frankly, a Times Square, if you will. But we did, and so on the DDB side of things, we do feel that planning has done a good job of bringing us into the 21st century, which means allowing the new technology, but doing it in a manner that will not end up being tacky, I think, as I heard someone say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lynham, then Commissioner Sheehan, then Commissioner Ortiz. Commissioner Lynham.
Thank you, Mayor. I was thinking about Commissioner Diamond and Commissioner Stewart because I, too, when we talked about this quite a while ago, thought this was a slippery slope. But I also knew that, as Thomas has just said, the new technology was simply taking us there. And the requests, particularly since we voted on the Amway Center signage, everybody wants something similar. And including out on OBT, I mean, had a really nasty fight with the merchant because he thought he should have his stuff out there. But I do like the idea of our this council or another council in the future, if we really get to the place where we believe that there is really toxic visual clutter and it's not very aesthetic, that we can kind of pull it back. The issue I had with that was that this grandfathering in people I really don't like, only because we're stuck with so many, you're talking about visual clutter with these outdoor storage areas, particularly in Paramore and other places that the county allow, that we have annexed, where you see all these horrible cars, these dead cars and motors and stuff. They're not required to put netting or anything around it. Aesthetically, it just looks like a dump. So that was my concern, and I mentioned it earlier, years ago, I think it was 1998, when we were dealing with International Drive, where the old, is it called North, I guess, International, we had to go in literally and change the signage. It looked like, it was horrible looking out there. I mean, they had the little signs, the big signs, they had one here, one there. It was just very ugly, and once we instituted these controls, and we literally, nobody was grandfathered in pretty much. They had to change all of that signage. And I want us to be in a position, if someone gets, well, I guess we have to approve it, but if it gets so out of control, we really can push it down a little bit. But it's a little frightening to me, too, to think that downtown could get really junky looking. But I think the perfect place for one of these signs is the Premier Plaza. I mean, it's just yelling for it. But you still don't want downtown to look like a circus or a casino, just really tacky. But I know with the movement of new technology and things that are happening, old signage just won't fly. It's not sexy, it's not pretty, it doesn't get your attention. Twinkle, twinkle, little martinis dripping down and all of that kind of stuff that you want to go check out. Or, I mean, I just used that one because I saw it somewhere. I think at Blue Martinis, I don't know. I saw the little glass with a little olive or whatever. So I understand that's where we're going, but I too feel it's really kind of scary what we're about to do. What I was scared about the AmVet Center, the Amway Center, when we did that. And I knew everybody was going to line up and say, I want one too. So here we are in certain limited spaces. Everybody can get one too, almost. So we can pull it back if we feel it's not going to work or it's not looking right to us, or we can scale it down. But right now, I just believe, I agree with you. I think our downtown is just jumping. I mean, you go down there some nights, I like to go early and leave early, but boy, by the time I'm leaving, everybody's just coming down, and I want to hang, but, a little sometimes myself. And I believe those lights down there will probably keep me out a little later. Maybe, I don't know, but it's perfect for what we're talking about, as long as we have good taste.
I would agree with you, Commissioner Lynham. One of the limitations that we do have on grandfathering off-site messages is that you're not allowed to take away that grandfathering once by state law. And Kyle, if you wanted to address that issue further, we could describe that for you. But I think what we've done is we've had a lot of requests, obviously, since the Amway Center has opened up. We've studied this particular issue for about over a year now, and we've gotten to the point that we think we're doing a conservative approach to this, still allowing for digital screens and limited opportunities within the Creative Village as well as on Church Street when you have a mixed-use project that has a certain amount of development on it. But also, just if you walk down Orange Avenue, you go by the Ego Lab, or you go by Charles Schwab at very next door. We're addressing those types of issues where you have televisions that might be in the window, either granting on-site messages like Charles Schwab does, or like at the new craft beer place where they want to just put TVs up. And to put some rules in so everyone can comply and go by the same rules, everyone has some slice of the digital components to their business, but it's within a controlled and measured response to what everyone's requesting.
I think so, and thank you. That's great.
Commissioner, were you at the Blue Martini, or you're just going by the Blue Martini?
We were there together.
I went once. I didn't like it.
Okay.
I'd rather go to Cress's. They have the best martinis in the world.
Commissioner Sheehan.
Thank you, Mayor, and I appreciate the residential protections for Lake Eola Park, because there was this horrendous 2000 countdown clock that scrolled and did all kinds of obnoxious things, and the residents hated that thing. And I got elected in June, and it was still up, and people hated that thing so much. That was the first thing I got to deal with, was that horrendous 2000 countdown sign, clock thing, whatever it was, and it was just dreadful when it.
Wow.
It was visual clutter. I mean, it was the ugliest thing I've ever seen. So how that ever got approved, I don't know. But I'm, glad to hear that we're not going to put that stuff in, because my residents hate stuff like that. So thank you. Jason, I did have a question, because we did a sunsetting provision on signs on iDrive. We have a sunsetting provision for the Cimarron Boulevard signs that we're voting on today, but yet we can't sunset these digital boards. Why is that?
Well, remember the distinction between on-site and off-site signage. You're granting an allocation for an amount of off-site signage. The particular signs that you're mentioning on iDrive, as well as on Cimarron Boulevard, are for on-site signs. In fact, just to correct you a little bit, on Cimarron Boulevard, we're actually increasing the amount of signage, but putting in a regulation that says they shall be consistent in a certain manner.
Right.
Within downtown, I'd say we still have our design review committee review. We've required that digital screens be architecturally compatible with their location on a particular building. So we still have, appropriate measures in place to review where these things are attached. Do they fit within the design scheme of a particular project, and those types of things. So in that sense, I think we can allay your concerns that you're mentioning.
And just for discussion, could we only allow on-site for now and see how it works, and then open it up at a later date?
If you read the ordinance and the staff report, you notice that there's separate sections for both on-site signage, and which are limited to marquees and things like that, and then you have off-site signage that will include both on-site and off-site messages in the form of digital screens, and there's a limited amount of places that are actually eligible for that. I'm certainly, I can agree to go with whatever the council wants. You're obviously the decision makers. I think there is a limited amount of digital screens that are being proposed in this particular ordinance, and it's smaller, and they're not towards the freeway. They're towards pedestrian-oriented areas and plazas, and they're under a master-controlled sign system and whatnot. And those are the types of circumstances that I think, if you're comfortable, you can look at today. But if you're uncomfortable and you want to study the item further, we're more than happy to accommodate that.
Well, I hear the concern about the techification, and I mean, we work so hard to build a beautiful downtown, and something that I hear from visitors when they come here is how clean, how beautiful, how vibrant our downtown is. And, I mean, Times Square wasn't exactly a pretty place several years ago. I mean, it did take a lot of cleaning up to bring it to where it is today. So
I would agree with that.
That's a concern that I have. Now, on the other hand, though, I do feel that our ordinance is too restrictive right now, because the poor guy with Ice Cold Auto Air, which is a really cool sign, had to stop. It had a little, it has a speedometer. The poor guy actually had to stop the speedometer from moving because it violated our sign ordinance, and he had to take the lights off it. And that was a fun sign that he had up for 30 years. I mean, probably 100 years. I don't know, a long time he's had that up there. So, I understand. I'm not trying to be over restrictive with it, but I guess what I'm hearing from my colleagues too is this concern about overdoing it, and then we can't bring it back in if it's got off-site advertising on it.
One of the things, maybe I'll just show you a picture of our streetscape for downtown real quick. And this just gives you a purpose statement, but on the left-hand side, you can see pictures of your sidewalks within downtown. If you were an actual visitor to downtown Orlando, even though there were places to go, you might not think anything's here, because there really aren't signage that are, continuous with the urban environment that gives you an idea of what's going on within our downtown. When we've heard back from businesses in our downtown focus groups for land development code amendments, we've looked at both this on-site and off-site signage provisions to see what we can do to make it a little bit more exciting. And I think that's why we brought forward the concepts today that have both on-site and off-site components to the messages.
Commissioner, you finished? Oh, yeah, I'm done. Okay. Commissioner Ortiz?
Thank you, Mayor. It's my understanding these signs are extremely expensive, aren't they? So it's not like everybody's going to have these signs all over the place, kind of Las Vegas.
Correct. Digital signs are relatively expensive endeavors, if you will. I think, alluding to what Thomas mentioned as well, it's not worth it to just put up a large digital screen or digital sign, let alone on your own new Amway Center, without giving some sort of what could be considered off-site types of advertising on that particular site. Same thing goes for private property owners as well.
Commissioner Stewart mentioned that we have to be careful because we might be opening a can of worms. I think we already did with the Amway Center. And something we have to keep in mind is the fact that these signs add energy and make the merchants downtown be able to compete with places like Universal. And at the end of the day, we are a tourist destination. So I think it's good that we're doing this, making this move. I think we should see where it takes us.
Yeah, I agree. And of course, you're not alone. Other major cities of our, similar size, whether it's San Antonio or Charlotte, a city that I always look at and has had for our planners anyway that used to work here, they have similar types of signage that are going on in downtown Charlotte and in Dallas and throughout the country.
Downtown has always been different anyhow, so why not?
There you have it.
Thank you.
Jason, you mentioned a number of times that there's a limited number of locations, the plaza being one. How many locations are there that could have the digital, excluding the
Creative Village?
Creative Village.
Well, even within the Creative Village, there's a list of criteria. One is that you have to have 250,000 square feet of development. You must be mixed use. You must have a majority of your ground floor space as active commercial uses. And you have to have a plaza of at least 1/10 of an acre. There are a couple sites and within the downtown core special signage district, you have to have property frontage on Church Street. So if you think about SunTrust and their plazas would be eligible, 55 West Signature Plaza, also known as Seaside Bank, the plaza itself, and that would probably be the end of the locations that would be eligible for this.
So what was that, 4?
4. And then, of course, when you met that criteria within the Creative Village, you'd also be able to have that type of signage as well.
Okay. Commissioner Diamond.
Thank you. I think given the concerns about flexibility and the lack of flexibility if we go with off-site, or if we permit off-site advertising at this time, I would prefer that the ordinance just include the on-site. We can always revisit it later. Since we're on first reading, I would just like to propose an amendment to be drafted between now and the second one. And hopefully there's support for it. If not, that's fine too. But my amendment would be just to limit this to on-site advertising.
Okay, draft something related to that or encompassing that. And then does anybody else have anything that they would, well, if you do, just get with Jason after the meeting if you have something else, so we can get it early in the week and everybody can have an idea versus getting it at the table next 2 weeks from Monday.
Okay.
Right.
Looking at drafting it would probably be removal of the digital screen component of the ordinance as it's written today, and we could bring that forward for your study in the future.
I didn't understand. What did you say?
The digital screens is the portions of the downtown signage code that, or the proposed downtown signage code that has the off-site messages within it.
No, we want the sign. We want the lights and glitter.
Certainly on first read, I guess I'll wait for a motion.
Okay. Well, just get with Commissioner Diamond and draft up whatever he's proposing as an amendment, and we'll hear it at second reading.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting don't do the digitals. I'm just saying don't do them with the off-site for now.
Gotcha.
Okay. Further discussion? Is there anyone from the public like to testify on this matter? Further discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion on the ordinance indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so the motion carries. Alana?
We have one more.
Oh, yeah. I thought I already called that one. I'm sorry, Commissioner Ortiz. We've been waiting all day
There
to
you
do
go.
this
Oh,
one.
I was packed up too.
Alana, could you read Commissioner Ortiz's ordinance, please?
With pleasure. An ordinance of the City of Orlando, Florida relating to zoning and the development of land, amending Chapter 62 of the city's Land Development Code to create the Cimarron Boulevard Special Plan Overlay District, providing development standards within the district relating to the building design and architecture, streetscape, landscaping, access management, parking, signs, and prohibited and restricted uses, providing for severability, codification, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ortiz, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Commissioner Ortiz, you have any thoughts?
I think I already said it. I'm very grateful to our staff, Bruce once again, Kyle, everybody, you guys, Commissioner, Mayor, and to our people, District 2. That's it.
Okay, is there anyone from the public who would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners, hearing none. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And so the motion carries. Right, Alana?
Possibly.
Okay. That concludes the scheduled business for the Orlando City Council today. Ed? We will be doing general appearance. So one sec.